lights are bright.
They are a little bright.
A little bright.
So we're gonna have Ryan zoom in just another moment, but let's do one more round of applause for Bobby and Sasha. We really appreciate you guys coming and joining us here at the Stanley Hotel for Westerns and Whiskeys. That was a heck of a movie. A little different than I expected and a lot better. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a hard movie to make. It was fun.
So one of you was that Sasha? You told me this is your second Western.
Yeah, this second Western feature, I also did a short like years ago. That's the first Western.
Who came up with the original concept for this?
This was, we had gotten a couple scripts sent. When the director met with me, he wanted something to put together, and it was just one of the scripts that had come along. He had daughters that he could relate to this really well with, and he kind of fell in love with the script, and then we decided we wanted to make it. I didn't think I was going to go and make another Western, because they are harder sell internationally, and they are a challenge, but we thought it was a strong story, and it had more more elements to it than just that. Obviously, now that you've seen the film, it has the autism element in it that I don't know if you guys picked up on that.
Yeah, Bobby, can you expand on that a little bit? You were starting to share something up here.
Yeah, so Nick and Ryan's characters were both autistic in the film, and I think that kind of drew both of us to it. And even our stunt coordinator, whose son doubled Shiloh, the kid in the all tan suit, he's autistic. The stunt double for him was autistic. He was our stunt coordinator's son. It was a great script, and the film came out really well. And I think it's part of that is that moving towards the we see things where today people are autistic, or they have this or they have that, but nothing's ever portrayed, in the past of that. And, they had to exist, they had to be out there. It kind of explains a lot of stuff. So.
Well, and there's really not even a lot of mainstream movies that even get near that. So that's
true.
This conquers a lot of different areas. It's really good. I like that you made both of the characters. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
How did Nicolas Cage get in the circle on this?
That was all you. You did that.
Well, it wasn't all me, but we had a list of names that we had cycled through, and one of the things is, to really support a budget of a Western that's done right, you need a household name. And there's really a shorthand of names that fit the bill. So there was really only a couple of choices, but one of the things about Nick Cage was he had never done a Western. So, when casting, you always think about when you're offering a project, especially to someone of his caliber who's done more than 100 films in his career, how do I give them something new, something that they have never done before, something that's going to even give them even more growth in their career? And that's really difficult to do. Some of the biggest stars, when they get to display their range in new acting roles, that's what really elevates their career. And we thought, why not? I think it might work. It was kind of really, at first it was like, this is kind of a crazy idea, but then it was like, let's try it, and it happened to work out.
And he was great. He was gracious, and he knew his lines. He knew everybody else's lines. He knew everything. He was in it. He was early to set, stayed late. He did everything that any producer or director would wish that an actor would do. He was amazing, amazing actor.
Yeah, he's really one of those actors that likes to sink his teeth into a role. He really just wants to play leads, and he was there the whole was there with us the whole month. So it was kind of like, sometimes you have to back into, let's say, 2 weeks or a couple of days or a week. No, he gave us the whole duration of the shoot, and he really came in. And when we were filming, it was 1 to 2 takes. It wasn't like he was prepared, he was ready. As soon as he got there, there was multiple copies of the script, and that's all he was doing. You wouldn't see him out. I mean, you wouldn't even, there was no socializing. It was like he was living that role while he was with us there in Montana.
His birthday was on the Thursday of the 3rd week we were there, and he just wanted to work. We're doing this, we're making this movie, so, killed it. Nick killed it.
How about our young star, who I think is going to zoom in a moment?
Ryan?
You hadn't worked with her before, had you?
No, I mean, we really went through like 400 or 500 girls.
Story.
And yeah, I mean, it had really come down to the wire where Brett was anxious to make a decision, and I was just like, let's wait.
It was me and Brett. I'm gonna admit, it was me and Brett. We're like, we gotta pick this girl is awesome.
Yeah, it's like, this is the
He's like,
main
no,
role,
we're not doing it.
and we have to cast, and it was like a Friday, and I was like, no, let's just wait. And Ryan's audition was one of the last ones that came in the weekend after we were supposed to make our decision. And, we saw her resume, we're like, they're like, we don't know if we're gonna get her. And then once Brett saw that interview, he calls me and he's crying. And I'm like, why are you crying? He's like, I'm an artist, man. It's like, this is, wow. And I'm like, so this is the girl. And there was no question at that point that it was her. It took a lot of back and forth with the agent in terms of negotiating, but because she was, coming off of Firestarter, big Stephen King movie remake, and she was up and coming, but there undoubtedly after that audition came in that weekend after we were supposed to already make a decision, she was the best candidate for the role.
She's amazing to work with. She's awesome.
Is she with us?
Ryan, turn your camera on. There's Nick.
Ryan, we just saw your movie. We were all amazed. Your performance was phenomenal. And I'm sorry you're not here in person with us tonight, but thank you for joining us via Zoom.
I'm so excited. This is crazy. I'm so honored to share this. And I wish I could be there, but so happy.
Well, we just heard the story of how you were brought in, but can you tell us a little, like one of your best memories on set, or one of the things that really pulled you into this? This was your first Western as well, I believe. I think, looking at you back there, yeah.
It was like so awesome. Like once I came in, it was so exciting because it's like I always like to challenge myself with my work, and I always say that because it's true. And when I saw this Western come in, this is it. I have to do it. And of course, it's a set. Nick was a part of it. But there's so many amazing memories, and Bobby actually drove me to set every single morning.
I did.
Which is funny. And we would always listen to some rock music on the drive there and the drive back. And it was such a great experience. I learned so much. I even got to learn how to ride a horse, which I had never learned how to do that before either. And I took so much away from the show, which is great.
Did you learn to shoot as well for this, or had you already known, or was that?
I did. There was a lot of prep in advance. I think we hadn't officially decided what weapon we were going to be using, so we tested out different weapons, I don't know. But they were like, it was all like very safe, and like there was all like just fake everything almost, but it was interesting. It was definitely a first for me.
She's great. Isn't she great?
I know I don't know how long we had you on here, and I know you had a long day of shooting your new piece, or do we?
It's a secret.
Oh, it is, okay. Well, it's exciting, and you're all gonna love when this comes out, but something that they do know about, Firestarter, when does that?
It's out.
That is out.
It came out while we were shooting The Old Way, didn't it, Ryan? Or right after?
Right after-ish, I want to say.
Yeah,
Kind of
we were in post on The Old Way, I think, when it came out, yeah. It's her and Zac Efron, yeah.
Cool. Well, you'll have to come out to the Stanley and do a showing of that one, since we're sort of a Stephen King place here.
Yeah, yeah.
It follows me around everywhere. It's really funny.
You guys want to hear a funny story?
Please.
So during Ryan's audition, we were watching her audition, and the person reading with her, you're like, who's reading with her? He's really good too. And it's her dad, and he's the guy that opens the movie. Ryan, is your dad around there? Tell him to step in and say hi.
Yeah.
He's the guy that starts out like, my railroad, and I did my thing, and that guy.
I'm so sorry, he's coming.
Is he coming?
Yeah. That was also a first. We've never done a project before together. And my dad's the whole reason why I started getting into this business. Here he comes.
Dean, show your face. There he is, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
I told you I was going to put you on camera. Tell them what I said.
He said, I told you I was going to put you on camera.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. What a jerk. Nobody wants to see Clark on the screen. It's all about this one.
So this was the first time they've done a picture together, right?
Yeah, it's the first film they did together, yeah.
Can you ask your dad how that was?
How was that? Like the first ever time that we ever worked together. What was that experience?
It was, truthfully, such an incredible. It was such an incredible honor, honestly, to be able to share the project with her. We both fell in love with the script when we read it. It certainly wasn't on the table when she was in the initial audition process. You guys can hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, it wasn't on the table in the initial audition process. It wasn't until after the contract had gone through that the dialogue had then started, knowing that I would be out there with her at the same time, just kind of under a different umbrella by way of contributions in the development of character storytelling and obviously just supporting her on the journey. So when it was presented as a possibility, I was just excited at the simple reality that they'd identified that this was something that they might be interested in doing. I love the project. It turned out in a way that it couldn't have been better for both of us to be able to share something like this together, such a special story, such a special journey, and it was a first, and hopefully more to come.
Yeah. Ryan, I know your dad is a pretty awesome acting coach. Has he always been your primary acting coach, or I know how sometimes family works together great, sometimes it's nice to go out. Did you have another acting coach, or was he the guy?
Oh no, my dad was a guy.
The guy.
Ever since the beginning.
I paid her to say that.
No, honestly, I think that's also some of the reason why I love this movie so much in the script. Was this movie was about a father and daughter relationship, and I like a really special one and the development of one, and that's something I share in real life, which was it really stood out to me. Like, that was a big part of the message of the film, of, you know, the highlight of father-daughter relationship. And there's really something special about them, and unique, and really beautiful. So,
Hey Ryan, tell them how cool all our locations were.
oh my gosh. The locations were awesome.
Locations were extraordinary. We were so blessed with just the landscape and the backdrop that afforded such enormous production value to the storytelling. I mean, not only was the set extraordinary that was there, you know, the world that existed around us helped to foster this, it just was such ease, an acclamation within this world. You know, it's so picturesque, I mean, in such, so grand in scope that, again, the production value associated with what Montana had to offer was really second to none, and you know, it's the backdrop of our story, and it's every bit as beautiful as it is a moving story to have access to.
Yeah, it's great for creativity as well, and like really immerses you in this Western world.
Yeah, it's inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, at one point in time, we were doing 70 on a highway. We had to come to a complete stop because there was 1,000 cows crossing the highway.
Highway. That was. I've never been late to a movie.
We were late to set.
To a shoot.
Sasha was mad at me for being late to set with our actors.
Well, when you come out and visit us here, you'll get that in Estes with the elk.
Yeah.
They have a thing for stopping traffic. Are you going to seek out another Western movie? I mean, is this something that you just absolutely loved, or continue to diversify?
Another Western. I mean, I'm
Sequel.
really open to it. I would be really down to do one.
A sequel.
A sequel.
Bobby
That's
said that.
you know, that's one of the things I've always wanted to do, is make a female gunslinger movie, because I was almost on the last project that I did was a Bass Reeves project. We had Belle Starr, who was a famous female gunslinger, but this movie, we've gotten asked a couple of times based on the ending, do we see Broken, 20 years?
This is how you bypass agents right here. Dean's like, what's he saying?
Well, I'd love to know one thing. One of my favorite things when I've been on set is just little things that you'll always remember. Not always necessarily about in front of the camera or whatever else, but while you were out there, such as the herd crossing the road, is there one thing that really sticks in your mind that you will always remember about being on set? Whether it's riding on the horse behind Nicolas Cage, or, I mean, all sorts of fun opportunities.
My dad just brought up a really, really terrible memory. I was talking to Nick, and it was one of the opening scenes, the first scene that was broken, when she walks out onto the house patio or front lawn, I guess. I don't really know what you want to call it, but the porch, sorry, I'm not working. I'm walking down, and anyway, in between a take, I'm talking to
This is a
Nick.
memory that's stuck out?
Oh yeah,
Or
stung out. And I'm talking to Nick, and I'm doing this kind of hand action, and all of a sudden, a bee stings my hand, and it was like right here, so I had wet paint all over my hand. There was a bee sting, and it was terrible.
It was hanging off.
The stinger was still in my hand, and
we're
we could
2
not get it
hours.
out.
We're 2
We
hours
were
from
trying to
anything.
find a
2 hours.
closest hospital.
Yeah, and there were 2 hours from everything.
Something that sticks out.
And then,
Yeah.
and then Abe and Ruby got stung too.
Abe got stung too. I thought she was going to say the time that she locked herself out of her trailer and we had to force a PA through the window.
No. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. There were so many great times The AD had to crawl through the window to our trailer to open it up. It was great.
I have video of that.
Since Bobby's trying to embarrass you here, you got a good one about these guys? Anything funny that happened with Sasha or Bobby that you remember?
Yeah. What else? I mean, driving was all the way. We were so disappointed in the day that he couldn't drive us to set. We were very mad.
80 miles an hour.
We celebrated listening to Slayer, among many other bands, well, on our way to work. It's not often that you have the privilege of traveling with one of the producers to set every day, and we did. And not only did we rock out to work, we rocked out on our way back home from work. It was a metal vehicle.
Yeah, Ryan knows all the words.
That's pretty above and beyond of you to be driving cast back and forth. That's very cool.
Good times.
Well, I think we wanted to open it up to the audience a little bit. Does anybody have a question offhand from what you just saw or want to ask one of these four people we're lucky enough to have here tonight?
How long was the shoot?
4 weeks.
That was about
20 days.
No, it was like
9 days.
17 days. One of the days ended up like
Oh, that's
rain.
right, we had to shut down.
Yeah, I mean they considered it was like 18 days,
There
but
was a storm and power lines fell.
it was supposed to be a 20-day shoot, but it was shot out in 17.
Yeah.
And even the last day, we had, the financiers were kind of forcing me to let the director know that the final shootout scene should have been like spread out to 2 or 3 days, and we had to shoot it all in one day. So he had he had a tough time. He had to, I think it was 9 pages on that last day. That last day he had to knock out a lot.
For those who aren't aware, 17 days is fast. That's pretty amazing. And 7 pages in a day is a lot.
Yeah, I didn't have the heart to tell him, hey, we gotta cut a few days. So it really came down to the last moment, like, hey, we have to pack it in and get all the shots. And he's like, I don't know how I'm gonna do that. And we just said, you have to. And he did it.
Sometimes you have to. Rand had a question.
I was just gonna have you ask Ryan about working with Nick Cage, what that experience was like.
Can you repeat the question real quick so that
Yeah, Ryan, what was it like working with Nick Cage?
Working with Nick? Oh, amazing. Oh, I love Nick. It was so interesting because it was both of our first Westerns, so we both kind of got to play with it together and explore this world. And our relationship formed very organically, just like the story, honestly. Like throughout shooting, we both got to know each other, just like how Brooke and Briggs got to know each other. Because in the beginning of the show, Brooke didn't really have that relationship with her father, and we got to develop that organically together, which I thought was really cool.
As well.
And strategically, I mean, a lot of it, I remember the first day I thought he didn't like me, because it was a scene where, it was like a very harsh scene between Brooke and her father on the way to
At the
school, and we
church,
both
yeah.
don't know each other in the scene. Yeah, we're going to school, or to church, and I just remember I go to my dad, and I'm like, I don't think he likes me. I don't know what to do. I realized it was all his method of, kind of developing that relationship. And it worked out amazing. And it was scary at first, but he's truly one of our dearest friends now, and he's amazing. Truly an honor to work with.
Go for it.
I'm interested in knowing how Brooke related to playing someone who had autism, and if she had any prior experience with dealing with that in family or friends or schoolmates or whatever.
Brooke, how did you relate to playing someone with autism, and did you have any prior experience to knowing someone or being around someone, family or friends who had autism?
You mean Ryan? It said Brooke.
She's Brooke, she's in character right now.
It was really interesting because she doesn't show emotion. And taking over this role and like studying different movies and also how different people did it. Because I also wanted it to be its own kind of thing and explore with that. And I remember I had a lot of conversations with Brett about it, being like, it wasn't in the script, like really what it was that was wrong with her. In a way, not necessarily wrong, but, you know, disconnected and, you know, not a part of the real world. And we ended up breaking it down and had these key little moments. One of them was the jelly bean scene where she was putting different colors of jelly beans into different jars because she needed to, and we had like a window into her brain almost. It was so interesting, and it was really a life-changing experience to have a character like this and to understand, hey, you know, she doesn't showcase the emotion, but it's still there, and it's such a major challenge that we had to break down. But I'm so happy about it, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. I learned so much.
Well, that scene around the fire where they're kind of explaining to each other how they came about their emotions with Mom, and that was a very endearing way to bring it out. I really appreciated that. And the lighting was excellent. It was a heck of a scene. But I always like a good campfire scene.
Any other questions?
I guess I do have one with that scene in particular. Was it taken into account based on what you're trying to portray in their characters that he wasn't making eye contact with her the whole time? Like, was that part of showing some of that autistic
I don't know if I can answer that.
personality?
With the eye contact with Ryan in the campfire scene, because they were sitting kind of next to each other, and he doesn't look at her till the end. But I mean,
That's probably a Brett.
that's a Brett question. I can get him
I
on
can't
phone.
answer that.
Do a job
Sorry,
for
that's
us.
deep for you. I'm just curious. I mean, that goes
I
to
mean,
some of that persona.
I think that scene in particular, we kept that a closed set. That was the DP, the first AC, Ryan, Nick, and Brett. And I think, and the sound guy.
Yep.
That was it. Those were the only people on set for that scene. We kept it closed so they could get into it. We didn't want people joking and goofing off and causing laughter or whatever when they have to be in this really serious scene. So that was a close set. That was a close set, right?
Yeah, I remember we were also kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, we were in the middle of nowhere. What do you got?
Ryan, what scene did you enjoy playing in most?
What was your favorite scene, Ryan?
I would have three favorites. I would definitely say the fire scene is one of them. Because it's the first time that Briggs opens up to Brooke. And it's so interesting to play with that because Brooke's whole life she's been kind of ignored by her father. And I think that's definitely one of them that I loved to play with and to explore with. And I love the transition with that scene. And you know, that scene really starts the change with Brooke, especially at the end when she's like, tomorrow morning, you can teach me how to shoot. And there was just, that scene was so, I just remember, it was such a moving scene. And immediately when I read the script, it really stood out to me. And I definitely say that's my favorite for that reason.
What was the last scene that you shot in this film?
It was literally Ryan on Nick. That was the last thing we shot.
Yeah, it was the
The death scene.
This the last
The
scene of
final
film.
the
Yeah,
final
it's the
scene,
last thing
like
we
the
shot.
last
That sounds
day.
really chronological.
We shot the film
in
mostly
fact,
chronological.
shot pretty chronologically, like a studio film. That's how Brett wanted to do it. Yeah.
It's not always the case, so it depends on the director, the location, but oftentimes,
And it made it harder because we had 3 different ranches and we would sort of play rotating games between those ranches.
Yeah,
It wasn't like
we
we were shot out and then we were gone. Like the first ranch that we started out with was transformed into the Mexican town, and that was part of the same ranch, but we had to basically play musical chairs between the different ranches that we had in the film.
You had a question?
Yeah, I was just curious if at any point during production, like you feel like the director's vision and the actor's vision sort of like butt heads, or same with producers, do you guys kind of sync up on the same vision?
No, I think the actor's vision, the director's vision, the producer's vision. I think we hash most of that out in pre-production. I mean, for as many days as we shoot, we probably have twice as many days of prep. I mean, not all departments and props and wardrobe, they don't have that many days of prep. But I mean, the cast and me and Sasha and Johnny, Brett, all of us, we would spend time on the phone every day, all day, with each other, talking, going through stuff, text messages, and just making sure we're on the same page, especially since all of us live in different cities, all of us.
Yeah, it was, each cast member took we spent time on casting each actor, and it was very selective in terms of who Brett wanted and who we all agreed with. But it was, we were consistently working on it. Brett actually, after we took a tour of the ranch and we took a trip to Montana, he stayed. So, and that was like 3 months before we actually shot the movie, so he got to live there, get to know the locals, get to know the local crew, and he just spent time like living there so that he could be as prepped and ready as possible for the film.
And then Ryan, you and your dad, you both spoke to Brett a lot prior to showing up to Montana, right? And going through everything.
Yeah, there was a lot. We had a meeting, which honestly helped clarify so much and helped so much. And Brett was such an amazing director for that. I mean, he really broke things down for us and was so open to explore the world and new possibilities as well, and to incorporate things that we also wanted to have or showcase a little bit of me or myself, which was honestly an amazing thing that he did. And he made us all feel very comfortable on set, and he was so helpful for everything, and such a talented director.
Well, I think he approaches things very much from an actor's
Yeah.
perspective.
He's definitely like an actor's director in terms of, I mean, there's a lot of directors that are more directors in terms of
Scene composition, knowing what
Exactly.
they like, what they don't.
and just shots, and that's honestly what they're there for. And then there's also a director like Brett, who's the perfect mix of an actor's director and that kind of director that already has a vision, but is so there for the actor. And whenever I needed him, he's always there, and I could really rely on him for that.
And then ask your dad the same thing. How much did he work with Brett? With his stuff? Because I know, I mean, that was one of the first days of production.
Just coming back to my initial involvement with the film, I mean, it's not often. There were so many responsibilities associated with my relationship to Ryan, just in simple navigation, with this incredible momentum, but obviously the specifics of every project and the specifics of every role. I never take for granted the relationship that I share with Ryan, and at the same time never want to enter into any production scenario that a director would feel that I'm going to compromise perhaps her vision by virtue of the contributions that I may make in collaboration with Ryan. So, fortunately to date, I've not had an experience where my collaborative work with Ryan has not been welcomed, or my bigger contributions to the picture have not been welcomed when it comes to, my particular insights and those things that I can, contribute to, the bigger storytelling. So with Brett, he was a director who warmly welcomed conversation associated with the specifics about Brooke and the journey, the enormous journey that this character has over the course of those 135 minutes. So, he was collaborative in that context, he was open in that context, his vision was very clear, and fortunately, based upon our intuitive interpretation associated with the tone of the show and the specifics about the character, they were all aligned. It all worked, and so they were very forward, very building conversations in context of defining all of the real specifics associated with what you see in the final product. We had a lot of talks about Brooke and about the relationship that she shared with her father and her relationship with the world. But he was open to that, and like I said, it's such a privilege and an honor to be able to have those conversations, especially when it is with my daughter. This was an experience across the board that was just so wonderfully collaborative, and again, this team. I mean, you've got a couple of producers in front of you right now who supported us every step of the way, and enabled all of this to materialize. Not only are they fantastic producers, but just guys to shoot a movie with, and that's not always the experience. And we feel grateful that our relationships have remained as strong as what they are today. Well over a year after filming, we look forward to the future that we all share.
Hey, thanks for that, buddy.
I have a question. How did the tragedy of the Rust film affect you with filming and the gun safety?
We shot before Rust. So we were in production in September. I think Rust was, we wrapped on September 3rd. I think they started in October or something.
Yeah, that incident happened after we were already wrapped.
A couple months after.
So we started getting mass calls from media trying to loop our film in the publicity with what was going on with their film, and some stories were fabricated, and I just stopped picking up the calls. We were I think the smart thing to do is for us not to get involved because it wasn't related. We had an armor that also was part of that production, but we had a props master that was also a seasoned armor that was overseeing her. And some of the articles were coming out that just weren't true, that she started on our film. She had been on a previous film before ours that was also a Western. So there's just a lot of media that a lot of them would call and say I have nothing to do, this is my top story, and that's all that they would focus on is trying to figure out a new angle to the story. And we were I'm sorry, not that we don't want to help you, but it's not the same production.
Yeah.
It's not related.
Go ahead.
I just want to have a very celebratory, we're here for a long weekend and we love the Sarah, you know what I mean, and to see the production, and I'm especially moved by the father and daughter relationship here, and Ron is definitely the star of the show here, and a rising star.
Yeah, she killed it. You killed it, Ryan.
It's just a beautiful moment. I don't have a dad, man, and so to hear dad, it's just a beautiful thing, and I'm moved to tears.
Thank you.
And I very much appreciate that you're all part of this, because we're all also a part of the Sarah, because it's one of our favorite bands. know what I mean? And it's a beautiful thing, so thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
What do you got?
I just was wondering, is there any memorabilia that you keep, like the hat with the 2 holes in it?
Hey, did you keep anything off? Did either one of you keep anything off set? Like props or anything?
I have something in the drawer right now. Do you want
What do
me
you
to
have? Yeah, go grab it. What is it?
I have fake money that we use.
You know, all the
Hey,
props. that-
hey, Dean, your daughter stole Monopoly money.
Well, what was strange is all the props in that, like that convenience store at the beginning, all of them were gone. We were like, what happened to them? And
We're missing a saddle that says Colton Briggs on it.
Yeah, like our production designer and our props master went on to do another film with Nick Cage called Butcher's Crossing, which was in another part of Montana. And I remember being at like South by Southwest and having someone say, "Oh, we have all the props, don't worry, we're bringing all of them." And like, we haven't verified this, but they were gone. We were like, our financiers were like, what happened to all of these props? Like, we had all this stuff lined up, they couldn't find any of it.
They cleaned out the
It was like
merch
someone
shop.
had just taken it to the next film.
Let's see your money.
This is money that was being put into the box, actually in the middle.
You better keep that forever.
You paid me in this. Put it in your bank.
You accepted it.
You accepted it.
The bank didn't.
Please.
I have 2 questions. I want to know where Montana was filmed, and I want to know how Ryan balances out her life as an actor, a teenager, school.
We shot in Paradise Valley, just south of Livingston, Montana. Livingston's 40 minutes east of Bozeman. So you fly into Bozeman, drive 40 minutes to Livingston, and then drive an hour to Paradise Valley. Ryan, she wants to know how you balance out actress, teenager, home life, that kind of thing.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
I don't really have much time for anything.
Oh yeah, she's only 12. You're 12, right?
Yeah. 3 more months of 12.
3 more months. Hey, I didn't ask the question. I was just relaying the question.
Relaying it.
We don't need to get ahead of ourselves, Bobby.
How does a 12-year-old balance actress and 12?
It's hard sometimes. I mean, sometimes I do feel like I need a break. In this, what I'm doing right now, we had a little winter break, and honestly, it was so amazing. I mean, the few days I had, it was so great to reconnect with my friends. I got to fly to Canada and go see a lot of my family and a lot of my old friends from my school. And sometimes I really need that break, and I really do feel it sometimes. And it's definitely necessary.
It's an enormous responsibility for any actor to make a commitment, especially in the capacity of being a leading actor in a series or feature. For kids, it's a little bit of a different scenario on set because there's really no downtime. There is school that's mandated.
It's all school. It's in between takes. You're going to school.
There's just you're either working or you're working. That's kind of all it is. And right now, yeah, Ryan had 9 days at Christmas after working for 7 months. A show that wraps tomorrow, and but it's been days of up every day at 4:45 in the morning, and we get home every night at 8 o'clock. And we have about an hour and a half to kind of try to figure out what happened to us that day, and then go to bed and get up and start all over again.
I always forget what I did the following day.
It's been her life since the end of May last year. We're super excited to be able to share with everybody in the not too distant future what that project is. But it's an extremely grueling and demanding collection of responsibilities that all young actors have to burden, which is the educational thing and the professional thing, and on top of that, to be a kid somewhere in the middle of all of that is kind of nice. Those opportunities, however, are pretty few and far between.
I think maybe one or two more.
Anybody else?
I feel like we need to let Ryan go to bed.
They feel like Ryan needs to go to bed. After that.
Official, but I'm curious if Ryan has any favorite actor or actress.
Ryan, do you have any favorite actors or actresses?
Favorite actor? Bobby, you know one.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Leonardo DiCaprio fan. Huge Steven Spielberg fan. Well, that's a director. But I'm so appreciative of all of these people.
You really stand on the shoulders of great films.
Yeah, I'm so honored to work with everyone I do, and Nick, honestly, was so amazing to work with. And I honestly learned so much from him, just watching his performance, and even just working alongside of him was also really life-changing for me.
Well, piggybacking on that, my last question for you guys is, I know you can't talk about the current project, but is there something else that will be coming out that you're super excited about, or something you'd really like to do in the future? And you guys too, like, what is the next project that you're open to sharing, or something that you're looking forward to?
Sasha and I have a film that's, we have 2 films coming out soon.
3, well, yeah. We have
3. We have 3 films coming out.
We have Nandor, Fodor, and the Talking Mongoose. It's Simon Pegg, Minnie Driver, and Christopher Lloyd. That's coming out. We actually don't have a release date yet, but we just finished the film. It was shot in the UK. It was about the doctor or the father of parapsychology. It's a 1930s period piece who's like searching whether there's a real talking mongoose, and it's based on a real story. It's a quirky, pretty much like a British comedy. And then we shot Hellfire fall last year. That stars Stephen Lang, who's the lead villain from Avatar. It's a straight up action movie and has Harvey Keitel and Dolph Lundgren. And then we have a Tom Mulling action movie that Bobby and I are doing pickup shots for in Dallas, shot in Rome. And I think Dean's also going to be part of it.
Yeah, we're gonna get Dean there.
And a cameo in it. So yeah. Those are all in pretty much.
Only that?
Well, yeah, we're setting up a movie for Mexico City, which is kind of like Knives Out meets Squid Games without the billionaire. It's called Cargo. So that's in pre-production and development. Yeah.
And you have one to share that either is coming out or something you'd like to do in your very large future?
Ryan has a big announcement coming in April, I think.
Yeah, soon. I can't talk about it yet. It's all kind of a secret, but I'm so excited. And I'm so excited to what comes my way, and any challenges, and then I'm excited for the future and what's next.
Hey, before you guys go, Ryan, tell your dad to squeeze in. We're gonna do a selfie. It's taking me a minute to get set up. Look at the camera.
Well, while they're finishing that up,
Awesome.
let's
Thank
give
you.
one more round of applause.
Thank you for your time, guys. I know you guys drove home hour and a half, and you got on a Zoom with us, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Give us some whiskey.
There's some guys in here that I'm sure they'll send you some bottles of whiskey.
So, and everybody knows there's a whiskey tasting tomorrow, and then we've got, as the gentleman mentioned, Lucero tomorrow night. So we appreciate all you joining us here tonight to watch The Old Way.
Dean will give you some Old Way money for some whiskey.
And we appreciate you guys being here very much.
Thank you, Ryan.
so much for having us.